Brother, I shit you not, I can already hear the people in the comments coming for me for this video.
Zack Snyder's Justice League is a masterpiece. Suck on my toes, you fucker.
Listen, if you're new here, it's all good, it's not your fault. Hi, hey, welcome. Just to quickly update you, lately on the channel we've been doing two-parter videos in which I address how a movie has been made and then I follow up that video with how I would have made that movie instead. We've done it with Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, and now the Justice League. But Mitch, what about Wonder Woman, Batman? What about Aquaman? Look, all will be revealed in good time. Those sorts of questions I'll be answering in my follow-up video in which I pitch a good Justice League movie. However, today we'll be looking at the past, the unsuccessful attempts at making a Justice League movie, and well, the unsuccessful attempts at making a Justice League movie. We'll be exploring ensemble filmmaking and how to balance multiple characters, concepts, and ideas relating to the Justice League and how successful Justice League comics have been told before. So join me as we take a look at how to make a bad Justice League movie. Something I instantly want to establish and quickly get out of the way is the appeal of the Justice League. Look, the Justice League haven't been given a good hand in pop culture in the last 10 years. Marvel's complete domination has pushed the JL into the periphery of most comic fans' minds.
Oh, yeah.
The release of the Justice League movie should have been bigger than the Avengers, but due to what we got, which we'll soon talk about, it was released with a shrug of the shoulders. Now this is coming from a guy that prefers the Marvel movies, but the Justice League is the single greatest superhero team to ever exist. Period. I love the Fantastic Four and what they did to essentially establish every strange concept and character in the Marvel universe, but no, the Justice League is still greater. I love the X-Men's domination of the 90s and how they were able to comment on race and heavy themes through the guise of superhero comics. But no, the Justice League are still greater. I love the Avengers, the team that has dominated the 2010s, one of the longest standing teams in superhero comics, a team of interesting personalities that has seen numerous changes to their lineup throughout the years. But no, the Justice League is still greater. The Justice League is not a story of hero worship and gods becoming mythic icons. That's always been the story of the Avengers, men becoming more than what they once were.
We're guilty of the sin of hubris. We had the best of intentions, to be Earth's guardians, to keep you safe, but we failed you. We looked down on the world from our tower in the sky and let our power and responsibilities separate us from the very people we were supposed to protect.
The story of the Justice League is one of being humanized. It's not about men becoming gods, but gods becoming men.
Who are you?
A friend.
It's about our intrinsic humanity, the beauty in humanity, the appeal of being human, compassionate, caring, and altruistic. It's about humanizing heroes who have become larger than life, an entity of fear, a symbol of hope, a symbol of courage, of willpower, showing the audience that no matter the height of your ability, these characters at the end of the day are humanized by their actions, the way they interact with the world, with people. It's about more than being a hero, it's about being human. This is why stories like Kingdom Come will always be relevant. It's why Superman's values will always be relevant. When we take the humanity out of our superheroes, they become gods disconnected from the people they're meant to save. In that way, the Justice League, or at least the Justice League of the comics, and what they embody will always be relevant. However, this being said, I feel like that idea just hasn't been fairly translated to the mainstream. The Justice League have been given plenty of movies, but some either completely miss the point of what these characters are about, or just act as a proxy to tell a story about a specific leaguer. This can be seen for Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, really just being a Flash story with the JL title attached to it. Throne of Atlantis and Dark do the same thing, being more of an Aquaman or Constantine movie if anything. Apocalypse War was more of an overall DC movie and doesn't really focus on the League specifically, and JL War is just a paper-thin invasion story, with no compelling characters, a story that doesn't do the work to earn any of its dramatic moments, resulting in a climax that just feels half-baked to say the least. Justice League The New Frontier is probably the closest thing we've come to a decent Justice League movie. All the characters are balanced in the way that an ensemble should be. They all have sufficient motives and characterization with the heroes back and forth. They're dynamic, taking center stage.
I gave them freedom and a chance for justice. You know, the American way.
Justice League Crisis on Two Earths is pretty decent too. It has a threatening group of villains that actually provide a physical threat to the League. It has some great character moments and some heavy existential themes that get unpacked.
And all of the branches originate here.
Every version of reality balances precariously on this singular
Earth.
As for Justice League Doom, it has the perfect tone, a great sense of urgency and pace. Sure, its biggest issue is that the team isn't really together for a majority of its runtime, but that's all due to the plot and how they're isolated and taken out. However, once they do come together, it does feel genuinely triumphant, resulting in a climax with world-destroying stakes appropriate to the Justice League. Now, that's the animated movies. Now, I don't blame you if you haven't heard about this movie, considering it was never made. Regardless, Justice League Mortal was a movie that was going to be directed by George Miller, the man behind Mad Max. It was going to be genuinely wild. It had a crazy cast, including the likes of Armie Hammer, Anton Yelchin, Megan Gale, and Jay Baruchel. It was, to quote Miller, going to push the boundaries of what a superhero movie could be. Released at the dawn of the superhero craze, it would have been seen as creatively ambitious, and that's a movie I would have wanted to have seen.
We're going to push these DC people farther than they are ever going to be comfortable with. And then the DC people showed up and looked around and they were like, this is farther than we're comfortable with. But we love it, and you can do whatever you want. And then it just went even farther. It was great, yeah.
However, after taking the time to read the leaked script, which you can find online, I have to say it does feel a little overstuffed. Maxwell Lord, Talia al Ghul, Omac, Wally West, it just feels like a lot. A lot that doesn't really cohesively gel as well as I think some might. The movie feels like it would have made for a really great story, but not exemplify the themes of the Justice League in a way that would feel cathartic, at least to me. Sure, the script depicts some amazing action sequences, but the story feels like a lot of ideas crammed into the script. It also has the tired trope of making Superman fight the team, which has been rolled over into other movies. It's just a lot though, and I don't blame them for using every decent idea they could, considering that's literally what happened as they had to finish the script by the deadline of the writer's strike of '07.
And so the writer's strike was looming. So what we did is we all sat down at a table before we knew it was going to happen. I mean, almost like we have 2 hours. And they're like, so just throw every idea we can into the script because we can't write the script once it starts. Right. And everybody just sat around spitballing with George and Nico and the whole creative team down there. And we ended up with a script that was almost 200 pages long. And then someone goes, okay, 5, 4, 3. All right, guys, that's the writer's strike. Pens down, no one can write anything else. And we were all like, ooh, what is this script gonna look like? But it didn't matter because we didn't get to shoot it anyway.
Justice League Mortal was meant to be the launching pad for individual franchises involving these characters. Mortal makes you want to see more of these characters. That's how the script positions you to feel, like you've gotten a taste of something greater to come. However, I have a different challenge. I want my Justice League movie to feel like a culmination of prior films, or where these characters are at internally. I have a responsibility to address their existing characterization, and so I have to take that into account as well. That is something the 2017 Justice League movie doesn't do at all. Okay, Justice League 2017, also known as Justice League, it was meant to be the culmination of a bunch of DC movies that fans had mixed opinions on, to say the least. Honestly, I don't really want to talk about this movie. It's just shit. We all know it's shit. That argument we can quickly establish. What is more interesting to me though is the "why is it shit" statement. This movie is a mess, a result of Snyder leaving the project after the passing of his daughter. This led to the Avengers director Joss Whedon coming on board to finish the movie, because WB thought if Avengers good, then Justice League good. No, that's not how it works. What we got was something tonally inconsistent with prior depictions of these characters, something inappropriate, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd have to say, and it isn't so bad that it's good either, it's just bland. It's a movie with nothing to say. That's as philosophically creative as a 2-year-old eating paper. It's overstuffed with exposition, and just that, it has no interest in developing character, just delivering exposition and having our characters argue in a passively sarcastic way to imitate the Avengers, before we inevitably move on to the next scene. A glaring issue in the movie though is one of characterization. On top of characters not behaving consistent with prior appearances, characters also lack utility. Batman is the worst for this, lacking characteristics that make him useful to the team, that make him Batman, like creating a plan, or in most jail circumstances doing something of utility to the plot, whilst the others fight the much more powerful bad guys. Here he's just dicking around with one parademon at a time, which he usually gets his ass handed to him. As for the rest of the Justice League, they're all just so dull. There's no sense of forward momentum or agency. They literally walk towards the hostage situation. There's no pace, no life to the action here. This brings us to Snyder's Justice League, a movie that restores Snyder's original vision for the story. Now, I've already made a video discussing my thoughts on Snyder's Justice League, and I have no interest in repeating myself here. That being said, it's a decent movie. The story actually makes sense, everything is fleshed out, characters, motivations, it's visually just a lot stronger too. The shots feel godly, heroes feel heroic, the cinematography, the ratio of the frame makes these heroes the focus of every shot. It's truly a Zack Snyder movie. There's even some scenes that are pretty heartfelt, and it's consistent both tonally and thematically. This feels like one person's creative vision. That being said, I don't like Zack's vision for the Justice League, how he sees superheroes, or his philosophy motivating any of his characters, but we'll get to that. I think Justice League is a really bloated movie. It doesn't need to be 4 hours, and Zack Snyder separating it with chapters is just a pretentious way to make the movie feel more artistic than it actually is. You've got a bloated movie, Zack. I could run a marathon in that time. Wait, hold up a sec. I know someone who has. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Pretty good. I was wondering, how long did it take you to do your marathon?
3 hours and 40 something minutes.
Во-первых, народу мама музыка не очень.
А что за направление?
А?
Что за направление?
Направление? Какое направление?
Что за направление музыки играет-то?
All I'm saying is if you thought the last movie just had characters expositing dialogue, then you're really in for something here. A lot of the criticisms regarding Snyder come from his style and overuse of techniques like slow-mo, a harsh contrast to his movies. However, that's kind of what I like about Snyder. It's what makes a Snyder movie identifiable. However, slow-mo is usually used to signify importance to a moment, to slow down something of meaning. A fair point to counter Snyder's use of slow-mo is when Snyder overuses the technique and makes every shot feel special, then no shot is.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
When every scene is important, when every scene is a moment, none are. But still, that isn't my issue with Snyder. My issue is the philosophy that motivates his characters. Now, I have no interest in repeating myself regarding Snyder. If you want to watch my Superman video here, I will leave it in the description below. In that video, I tackled why Snyder doesn't understand Superman due to his personal philosophy changing the character. The same goes for Batman too. A Randian belief in objectivism that disregards altruism and makes Superman a hero that feels upset when people don't appreciate his heroism. A hero predicated on self-achievement, not an altruistic quality to just be a selfless hero that wants to connect with the people that he saves. Snyder's Superman is a hero that defines himself by how the world sees him instead of how he sees himself.
Superman was never real. Just the dream of a farmer from Kansas.
It's a hero with an egoism that ties into the Randian belief that Zack has, an ego that a lot of his characters have. The constant message being, look at my might, not look at my humanity.
If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
Snyder's Superman removes the humanity from Superman. Snyder in all of his movies, but most importantly in his Superman-related movies, wants to position the hero as a god. Whether that's Watchmen, 300, or Batman vs Superman, Snyder is obsessed with the hyper-masculine male, one with no empathy, that's value is on achievement at any cost, usually self-sacrifice.
A good death is its own reward.
This emphasis on achievement means sacrificing everything, even your own humanity. Snyder sees Ozymandias as the hero of this story.
Killing millions.
To save billions.
This is what allows Snyder's Superman to rationalize snapping a neck. To Snyder's Superman, the ends justify the means, because that's what objectivism leads to. I personally think Snyder just wants Superman to be Dr. Manhattan, yet also doesn't understand that Dr. Manhattan isn't meant to be an aspirational figure. Snyder just doesn't understand heroes. Period. Heroic acts is not why heroes are remembered, it's their humanity that we remember. But Zack doesn't get that. Now, I have no interest in dedicating this video to Snyder and how he depicts Superman or Batman or any of the other characters. For that, I've already dedicated an entire video. Now, I want to shift the focus to ensemble storytelling. How do we create an ensemble movie? What is the point or even the appeal of an ensemble movie? Well, let's take a look. The general appeal of ensemble blockbuster filmmaking isn't to break down cinematic devices and subvert expectations through a densely layered screenplay that incorporates deep themes about our intrinsic value and our meaning in the world, although that can be done. We come for the fun of seeing characters interact, bicker, and squabble, to see how these large personalities would interact with one another in a group setting, to escape whilst enjoying seeing our heroes team up. That isn't to say that these two types of filmmaking are mutually exclusive. It's possible to do both, to be both thought-provoking and make an ensemble movie. But most of the ensemble movies that take on both of these ideas succeed at neither, and that's often the case for most of the Justice League movies. They don't feel like a team, either because they don't share enough screen time together, or the interactions they do have with each other are hollow. That the movie dives heavy into ideas that it doesn't have the room to unpack whilst navigating multiple characters.
Not a great plan.
The best way to do an ensemble movie is to have the characters and screen time feel balanced, that it feels like an ensemble. In saying that, it's also important to have one character that goes through a large sense of personal growth so that the audience can attach themselves to the unspoken lead. This might be Star-Lord in Guardians or Bloodsport in Suicide Squad, learning to be a leader or to become more than their own selfishness. Generally, it's also good to have a group of large and distinct personalities that the team is easily identifiable. Groups like the Avengers, the Suicide Squad, the Guardians of the Galaxy. A simple narrative is also advantageous, whether it's an invasion story or a force of evil. An easily identifiable threat allows the focus to stay on the character interplay and the dynamics between the cast, rather than the unraveling plot. This might be the case for some of the earlier Harry Potter movies, or even the Lord of the Rings saga. An easily identifiable threat, or even a goal for that matter, and a lot of runtime to see these characters bond. Something that usually ties the cast together is a theme that gets unpacked throughout the movie. This might be themes in the X-Men movies. The point is to have the characters discuss the meaning of an idea and to have their large personalities clash with varying answers. Let's say Batman, The Flash, and Hawkgirl were all discussing ideas of order. What sort of discussion would come of that? Would some favor legislation? Would some oppose it? This is what creates an interesting back and forth in an ensemble movie. An added layer to this is expanding on the characters' objectives, what the characters want. Captain America in the Avengers just wants to serve his country. Bruce Banner reluctantly assists in gamma radiation science. Tony doesn't even really want to join the team, but he accepts just so he can unpack some of Fury's files. So whilst the team does unify under a common goal by the end, their initial motivation, their character objectives, are starkly different, and only through coming together do they become greater than the sum of their parts, whether that be unifying in their objectives or helping with one another's weaknesses. There's a lot of great Justice League comics out there, Tower of Babel, Rock of Ages, Divided We Fall, or any of the other big crossover ideas that would lend themselves to a big action ensemble spectacular. With that being said, I want to narrow in on what I would do for this movie. I don't want to pull from Tower of Babel. I think it's been done pretty well in Justice League Doom, and I feel like we'd be revisiting too many ideas from Justice League Mortal. Another thing I want to be very wary of is using Superman against the League. Right now, I think it's a really tired trope to have Superman fight the League. It just results in a lot of empty action, with invulnerable characters hitting invulnerable characters. There's no weight to these scenes.
I need the big guns out.
Speaking of action, I think it's important that the team earns their victory through their own cunning nature, planning or teamwork, that the day isn't won by the team's powers, but by their character. After saying what I don't want in a Justice League movie, I think it's kind of obvious what needs to then be included to make a good Justice League movie. To have a narrative that unfolds, keeping viewers engaged, to not create a passive viewing experience, something exciting and visceral. Having a movie that makes sense as well, to not overpopulate or overcomplicate the story, to have the narrative serve the characters, to make a story where characters feel that they're acting within character, where they make decisions and say things that they would actually say, that the dialogue isn't interchangeable between cast members, a movie that has characters actually grow, have the team dynamic force characters to learn off of each other. For example, Wonder Woman might teach someone how to be compassionate, or The Flash might teach someone how to move past their need to help everyone the same way he had to. Perhaps characters have different objectives, goals, and only through meeting do their goals unify into a common cause where each member provides utility to the story, where they feel like a valued member. Batman gets to use the shadows and create plans. John is strategic in battle. The Flash might move civilians out of the way of incoming debris, and Superman provides a great big blue target for an enemy horde to attack. Making use of our cast to best serve their personalities is what we're after here. Now, that's where I really need to stop. If I continue any further, I'd be stepping on the toes of the follow-up video in which I pitch how to make a good Justice League movie. If you guys dig this video, maybe give it a like, and if you want to see the next part in this pitch, maybe subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to continue the conversation after this video and maybe keep up to date with me, then check out my Twitter at Mitch_Lecture. With that being said, let me know what you guys thought of this video and how you would make a Justice League movie. More specifically, how you wouldn't make a Justice League movie. With that being said, have a lovely day and I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao.